Hello, everybody. I am sure you're going to get to see, but the PAWFURM has been extra helpful tonight. Or just extra. Isn't that right? Hello, she's a maker. Hello, Joey Bag of Donuts. Hello, Nana Laura. Hello, C-Rex, my beautiful friend. Hello, Sir Philip. Oh, you got a big yawn out of Ava. Hey, can I have my arm? Hey, oh, can I? Let me at least readjust. My goodness. Oh, and here comes Billy. My goodness. Hello, Lisette Panette. Hello, Patrick B. Both the kitties are here. Hello, Tiana Miller. Sean, great to see you. Hello, Linda Applegate. It really is. I got the best. I've got the best. Oh, you're gonna lay on my keyboard. Let me just move this out of the way, please. A little bit. Thank you. You are not helping me. Oh my gosh. I gotta move the microphone. There we go. Okay. Hello, Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, Ava. Have you no chill? Hello, Sherry B. Yeah, I don't like taking 2 days in a row off, and I had to take yesterday off because adulted, and it was no fun. I had a doctor's appointment that was 2 hours away, and the medical transport company, so they go by what the GPS tells them for pickup time and stuff, and they weren't able to account for the fact that over 40 miles of the interstate is tore up from construction. So we were only able to go 55 instead of 70 the majority of the way. And yeah, so I called and said, hey, I think I'm going to be late by like 15-20 minutes. They said, as long as you're here by 2:25, we can see you. I said, well, the GPS says we'll be there at 2:28. They said, well, still come anyways. Okay. So we got there at exactly 2:28. And I walked in and I said, hi, I called. And they said, yep. And we were told to decline your visit. I get it. I was 3 minutes late beyond the grace period. And, of course, you've got to punish the innocent person to teach the transportation company a lesson. Makes perfect sense. It was just frustrating. I mean, I get, I was 3 minutes late beyond the grace period. But it's still frustrating because it's over 2-hour drive, and then I had to get right back in the van and ride 2 hours back, and that is not comfortable, not at all. So I got home pretty wrecked. yeah, that's, and like, I know, there's the argument that well, you don't see what goes on in the back. You don't know how many people are really there, blah, blah, blah. But, I walked into a completely empty facility with like 3 people standing behind the counter, literally just standing there. And there was nobody in the waiting room. The parking lot was practically empty. So it was frustrating. Say hi to all the budgies for me. There was actually a lawyer who did that one time. He sent the clinic a bill for his hourly wage, which was higher than the doctor's hourly wage. He took it to court and he won. Because the judge said his time is just as valuable as yours. If you expect him to keep a schedule, so should you. Yeah, that was the face I was making. Along with some tears, because, oh man, that was a painful ride. Through the construction zones and the roundabouts, and it was bad. And because they had to reschedule it, I have to go back Tuesday instead to make up for it. So, yeah. So Tuesday, don't expect much out of me. But oh, I always loved when my mom had baby budgies. They're so cute. Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not, I can't be mad at the transportation company because, like I said, they could not account for the construction. She came early as it was, expecting, possible delays, but she didn't expect that much of the road to be torn up. How could she have known? It's not like, it's not like it's programmed into the maps entirely for the maps to account for it. So, and I can't really be mad at the doctor because I did, miss the grace period by 3 minutes. Yeah, I am a little irked at that, but yeah, it was a situation. Thank you. Hopefully I'll be all right. Like it's so rough. 4 hours in a vehicle. It's rough. Anyways. Well, she managed to have 3 donkeys before she had me. Isn't that right, Billy? They do, but there wasn't any actual like backups. Traffic was flowing the whole time. It was just flowing at 55 instead of 70. I just called my brother asses. Well, my brother's asses. A donkey's an ass. Auntie M, the party's here. I was just complaining about my doctor appointment. She heard the story already. I ranted. But anyways, that was my story. That was my grump. I'm done grumping now. Now I'm going to go back to being happy. Because there's no sense in dwelling on stuff. Yes, see? See, I'm not the only one. Hey, Karen. Welcome, sweetie. All right, so tonight we're kind of going to have a little bit of a grab bag. I edited the first part, and then I didn't have time to really go through all of it, so I quick edited, so I haven't seen the entire dockets. So Google, if people report it, it'll somewhat, but it doesn't have the entire stretch. Hello, Chinny. All right, let's get into it. Let's have some fun. We need some fun, right? We need some laughs. That was Earl. We talk to each other.
All right. Sir, what is your name? Good morning.
Christopher Kirk Lockhart.
All right, Christopher Lockhart. Okay, you spoke with him this morning. You can go ahead with that.
I did. There's no complaint, correct? This is a
Friend of the court matter.
court matter. That's correct. Okay.
211709 FY, People of State of Michigan versus Christopher Lockhart. Appearance of record.
Yes, Your Honor, for the record, Melissa Vinek, P53750, appearing on behalf of Christopher Lockhart. Mr. Lockhart, will you please state your name for the record?
Christopher Lockhart.
Thank you. Your Honor, today's date scheduled for an arraignment with respect to this matter. I have had an opportunity to earlier speak with Mr. Lockhart. Your Honor, at this time, there is a warrant for failing to pay child support. We stand mute to the charges. We ask for a not guilty plea to be entered on behalf of Christopher Lockhart on this matter.
For the court will enter a plea of not guilty on behalf of Mr. Lockhart. This case will be before me for a probable cause conference on October 10th, 1:30 p.m. on Zoom. Exam will be on the 17th, and that'll occur at 2 p.m. here at the Pickett District Court. So he owes $78,000. $78,487. So the bond has to be 25% of that, which is $19,621.75, and that's cash to be posted in his name, and that's by statute. So I really deviate from that, from the statute. I can't deviate from the statute, so that is the bond amount. Okay, so Mr. Lockhart, you gotta post that amount. This has to be cash in your name, $19,621.75. That's 25% of the $78,000.
Your Honor, obviously I can't post nothing like that, but I would like 3 minutes to state my situation if that's too much
Well,
time.
Lockhart, I would advise you to not say anything to incriminate yourself. Okay. All right, so we'll appoint you an attorney. You'll be back in about 9 days. You'll have an attorney to talk with. And then this is an AG case. So most likely Sarah Brenner will be the assistant attorney general in this case. So your attorney will speak with her and see if they can work out a deal to lower the bond or something.
Okay, so what I do at this point?
We'll see you back on the 10th. If you post the $19,621.75, you'll be out on bond. But if you don't, you'll still be in.
So you might have to stay here?
Unless you
Your
post
Honor?
bond, Mr. Lockhart.
That's crazy. I mean, you don't even know my situation.
Well, Mr. Lockhart, all I do know is there was an order for you to pay child support, it wasn't paid, and now you're here before me. And by law, I can't let you go until you pay $19,621.75. Is
Okay, that's by
black and
law,
white.
but Your Honor, I know, but you don't know my situation I'm dealing with that caused that problem. And that doesn't
Okay,
matter
Mr.
to
Lockhart,
you.
I'm saying, you're gonna have an attorney to explain that to you. The state legislator said, Judge Bowie, as a judge, we've written a law to say 25% in child support case must be posted. Unless they change the law in the next 5 minutes, I'm handcuffed. That's it, Mr. Lockhart. I don't care what you explain to me. The legislation said 25% of that, okay? So you're all set, you can walk through the door. Thank you.
So how do you get someone to get bond, is what I'm saying. Say if I wanted to do that bond thing, how do I do that? If I want to do that
Call
now?
somebody, Nick. Call somebody who can loan you $19,000 or going to give you $19,000. So it can be posted in your name. So you got to call around. I don't know. Call a bail bondsman. I don't think a bail bondsman will even do it because it got to be posted in your name.
I
So
see. So what you saying in 90 days, I will have a hearing back here with you?
9 days. PCC, 9 days. I'll see you at
9
PCC.
days.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad I'm still talking because I'm thinking you said 9. So in 9 days, I will be back here talking with you.
Yes,
Correct?
you're all set. Yep,
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Judge wanted out of that conversation as fast as he could get out of it. He didn't have nothing else to say. How long do you have to go without making a payment to get to 78K? Like, seriously, I wonder how old his kids are. Yeah. Just for you, Auntie M. Just for you. Right. Yeah, I really feel bad for those parents. I'm just making assumptions at this point. I can't imagine it being one child. And I can't honestly with that amount imagine it be multiple children with one mother, because I don't know, you don't get as much if it's, multiple children with one mother as you do if it's two separate mothers with a child in each. Like, it's weird how the maths on those. I know, I love you. That's just when they'll have the next hearing. There's no guarantee he'll get out then. The prosecutor and the defense attorney have to work out an agreement, saying if he pays X amount, then he can get out, but he has to pay X amount every month plus part of his arrearages, or he'll go right back into default and go right back into jail. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that a bit. Hello, Salty Buddha.
What's your name, sir?
Darren Smith.
Aaron Smith.
Your Honor, I did have the opportunity to previously speak with Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions that you may need to meet with me for?
No.
Okay.
18OS24120C, City of Pontiac versus Darian Sharman Smith, appearance to record.
The record, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Melissa Vinek, P53750, appearing on behalf of Darren Smith. Mr. Smith, will you please state your full name for the record?
Darius Sherman Smith.
Thank you. Your Honor, today is the date scheduled for an arraignment with respect to this matter. Your Honor, we ask for the bench warrant in this matter to please be set aside. We do stand mute to the charges. We ask for a not guilty plea to be entered on behalf of Darren Smith. Also waive any formal reading.
All right, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on behalf of Mr. Smith. This case is before me, Judge Bowie. I'll see you for pretrial. We'll see you on the 16th of October, 9 a.m. on Zoom. That's the bond pretrial services bill recommendation.
Thank you. The defendant was interviewed. He came into custody due to a new drunk driving charge out of Hazel Park. There was an earlier report written for that. He's currently on a $2,500 cash surety bond on that matter. His information was not able to be verified. He's a 30-year-old single male with one child. He indicated having joint custody, unemployed, has been living with his girlfriend at the Pearson Street address in Detroit. He does have a significant history of failing to appear, which includes 44 active warrants out of 23rd, 36th, 37th, 39th, and this court. He does have a history of violence as well. Although he's before the court on nonviolent traffic-related misdemeanor, it is a 4-year-old case. He's only before the court because of new allegations. And given the significant history and the multiple warrants, we are not recommending release on recognizance, would recommend conditions of no driving without a valid license, registration, and insurance. Thank you.
Your Honor, on behalf of, yes, on behalf of Darren Smith, Your Honor, Mr. Smith is 30 years old. He attended Pershing High School. He states to me, unfortunately, he has not been able to work due to health issues. He is living with his girlfriend and his daughter, so he does have strong family support. Your Honor, again, this is from a traffic matter. As such, Your Honor, we are asking for a personal bond with respect to this matter.
What's that?
Yeah, personal bond, because it's not like he has 44 active warrants or anything.
Bond at 510%, no driving without valid license, registration, and insurance. We've got 44 active bench warrants. It's time to get it together, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
Or you're gonna be in and out of courts. You're 30 years old. All right, you're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can stand up and walk through the door, Mr. Smith.
Okay.
The family will be trying to pay down that. It was ridiculous. He waited until there was no more driver responsibility because he couldn't pay it.
Sir, go ahead and state your name, please.
My name is
Mr.
Carlton
Kane.
Beatrice Kane Jr.
Carlton, Mr. Kane, I did have the opportunity to speak with you earlier. Do you need to speak with me in more detail, or are you ready? Any more questions you want to speak with me about? I'm happy to speak with you.
No, I'm ready to listen.
241-477-FY, people say Michigan versus Carlton Demetrius Kane Jr. Finish the record.
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, for the record, Melissa Vinek, P53750, appearing on behalf of Carlton Kane. Mr. Kane, will you please state your full name for the record?
Carlton Demetrius Kane Jr.
Thank you. Your Honor, today is the date scheduled for an arraignment with respect to this matter. I have had the opportunity to review the complaint in its entirety with Mr. Kane. We do waive a formal reading into the record. We do stand mute to the charges. We do ask for a not guilty plea to be entered on behalf of Mr. Kane for purposes of arraignment here today.
Wait, so I'm pleading not, I'm
You're pleading
pleading
not guilty today.
but that's just for,
That's for your arraignment. You're pleading
No.
not guilty.
Okay, not for the case, right?
For the case,
You need to speak with him real quick, Ms.
yes,
Bonnie?
why don't I
Sorry.
just speak with him really quick?
All right, back on the record. This is 241-477 FY People State of Michigan versus Carlton Demetrius Kane Jr. Appearance to the record.
Again, for the record, Melissa Vinek, P53750, appearing on behalf of Carlton Kane. I know that his name, it does not reflect him, but Mr. Kane, will you please state your full name for the record?
Carlton Demetrius Kane Jr.
Thank you. And Your Honor, again, we're here for arraignment. I did have an opportunity to again speak with Mr. Kane in a breakout room. Mr. Kane, do you have any more questions or do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, so Your Honor, again, just for the record, so that we're clear, today is the date scheduled for an arraignment. And again, just for the record, I did have the opportunity to review the complaint in its entirety with Mr. Kane. We are waiving the formal reading into the record, standing mute to the charges, and asking for a not guilty plea to be entered on behalf of Mr. Kane for purposes of arraignment here today.
Right, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on behalf of Mr. Kane Jr. This case will be before me, Judge Bowie. Probable cause conference, October 10th, 1:30 p.m. on Zoom. Exam, October 17th, 2 p.m. in person here at the 50th District Court. That's the bond pretrial services bail recommendation, please.
Thank you. Defendant was interviewed. His information was verified by his mother, Mina Ward. He's a 22-year-old single male reported living at the Cordoba address in Farmington Hills for 3 years. However, he indicated he would shortly be moving in with his mother, which he did verify. So his release address being that of the Clover Lawn Street in Oak Park. He's a high school graduate. It's been working with Ram Construction as a laborer for 2 months. Does not have a history of failing to appear. No history of violence, has no prior convictions, misdemeanor nor felony. He does have one civil warrant for impeding traffic out of 41A District Court. However, beyond that, everything else is in his favor. Therefore, we are recommending release on recognizance with the conditions of no contact with Amazon nor its agents, no return to their location at 1200 Featherstone in Pontiac. Thank you.
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Kane is 22 years old. Mr. Kane indicates to me that he graduated from University High School, that he has been working at Ram Construction for the past 2 months, where he has been working full-time. He's currently living with his girlfriend and one son. He states to me that he has no prior felonies. He states to me that this is his very first offense. He's been in the Oakland County Jail since last night, and we're asking for a personal bond with respect to this matter.
The court will set bond at $7,500 personal, not to return to any Amazons anywhere. So I'll see you on the 10th at 1:30 p.m. on Zoom. You're all set, Mr. Kane Jr. Thank you.
So I got bond.
Yes, personal bond.
Personal
You don't have to
bond.
post any money.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure you
I'll
come
put-
back for your court date.
Yes, ma'am. You said the 10th, right?
100%, correct.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. All right, Ms.
Thank
Bonner,
you.
thank you, Mr. Brooks. Thank you.
Good standing, at Detroit Mercy and request permission to practice pursuant to Michigan Court Rule 8.120B under the supervision of Attorney Guevara.
Okay, sir, can I have you state your name?
Gorgeous and son.
All right, and do you have any objection to the request that the student attorney is making?
No.
Okay, I'm going to grant your request noting that your supervisor is present with you in the courtroom. Today's the date and time set for a pretrial. Looks like we have a resolution. Could you place the plea offer on the record?
Yes, Shadow, we moved that account of allowing unlicensed driver to drive and civil infraction of keeping traffic. If it then pleads those charges, the court accepts, we move to dismiss the original charges.
All right, is that your understanding of the plea offer?
Yes, so my client would like to avail himself to the plea offer.
Okay, so please raise your right hand.
From my hand, when I swear for God, I look for my God, His name, I gotta be true.
Sure, so you can swear
It's
or,
God always first.
okay,
I swear for God, I'm gonna say the truth.
okay, could you just let me provide the oath to you and then you could respond? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay, thank you, sir. Did you have an opportunity to speak to your attorney and review this advice of rights form?
she explained to me everything, yes.
Okay, and did you answer the questions on this form truthfully?
Everything she told me true, yes.
Okay, and did you sign here toward the bottom of the second page?
I did.
Do you understand that the offense that you intend to plead guilty to today, it is a misdemeanor and it could carry a maximum penalty of 90 days in jail and or a fine of $500?
I'd be very happy to go to jail if I am wrong, yeah.
Oh, but I'm not telling you that you are going to jail. I have to tell you what the maximum penalty could be.
Okay, yeah, she told me that. She
Okay.
told me the same thing you said, yes.
Okay, great. And then do you also understand that for the civil infraction of impeding traffic, there could be a $200 fine attached? Is that
Yes.
it? Okay. Do you understand that you have the right to a trial? You have a constitutional right to a jury trial if you want to go to trial in this case.
Yes, she told me that too.
And did you go through each of the rights that you would have if you did go to trial? Yes? Okay. Do you understand, sir, that if I accept your plea today, you will give up your right to go to trial? Could you say yes or no?
Yes,
Okay, and let's see, has anyone promised you anything or threatened you in any way in order to get you to plead guilty?
nobody tells me no.
Is this your choice to do this today?
Yes,
And do you understand that if I accept your plea today, if you were to change your mind and want to appeal your plea, the only way you'd get to do that is if you were granted permission to appeal from the higher court?
yes,
Do you also understand that upon entering a guilty plea today, you could be giving up certain rights or issues on an appeal that you would have otherwise had if you went to trial?
yes,
Knowing all of this, is it still your decision to proceed?
yes.
All right, let me take your attention back to August 19th of 2024. On that day, were you in the city of Troy? August 19th?
Yeah, I just moved the area in the same day. That 2 days later, I was living in Harrison Township. Then I moved there, yes.
Okay, and it's alleged that you were in the area of John R. Road and Larchwood on that day
Yes,
when you allowed an unlicensed person to operate your vehicle. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
guilty, guilty.
Okay, and then there's a separate allegation that on that day you impeded traffic with the vehicle. Do you plead responsible or not responsible?
Yes, responsible.
Are the attorneys satisfied with the taking of the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
I need to just make one matter for the record. English is Mr. Verdi's second language.
okay.
So just so that he was fully comfortable, I translated the entire plea agreement for him in Arabic. So I just wanted to make that record of that.
Thank you for doing that. Are you able to hear and understand me when I'm speaking to you in English on the record, sir?
I understand very good, but I can't hear you really good.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking loud enough?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, and was it also helpful that that advice of rights form was translated to you in Arabic as well?
Yeah, I speak both languages.
Okay, all right. So at this point, are the attorneys satisfied with the taking of the plea? I think you indicated yes.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to accept your guilty plea and your responsible plea, sir. And then at this point, I'll grant the motion to dismiss the original charges as it relates to sentencing. I know his license is still suspended. Is that accurate?
So right now, Your Honor, he is waiting on a date for the he's waiting for a driving reexamination date. His physician, so originally this was, his license was suspended for a medical concern.
Sure.
His neurologists have faxed over all the appropriate information. I do have copies of it if needed. It was sent over to the state of Michigan back in July. So right now we're just waiting for a letter to come in for the reexamination date. Because he moved, it just delayed it a little bit.
Okay, well, I know he didn't drive here today because I saw him walking along the street to get to the courthouse here before 8:30. So
What you say? She see me walking?
I did. I saw.
True, I walk,
I
yes.
saw you.
I walk.
So I know you didn't drive here today, which is good. You understand.
The first time too, I walk from General 14 miles to here too.
I know.
And today I walk from there to see how I go through.
I saw.
And I am innocent guy.
I saw-
And when I say for God, if you kick my head, I would never swear for God lie.
Okay, but listen.
Always God first.
Listen.
All
So
right.
I want you to just
Good
work.
thing you see me.
I did. I want you to work through the issues that you have with your doctor and the Secretary of State, and do not drive until your license is reinstated. Do you understand that?
Your Honor, my license, I went to 5 police station. Everybody told me your license is good. I told them, no, the Secretary of State told me your license is no good. I went even to Sheriff Police on Mount Clemens, where the jail is. I told them, but my license is good. They told me you don't have no record. Your license is good. You don't have no problem.
Okay, but listen,
And I went.
I'm telling you right
Yes,
now.
yes.
I'm telling you right now that you still have to follow through with this process that your attorney was discussing with you and get the medical documentation, and then Secretary of State has to clear you to give you your license back. So for now, you need to keep walking. Can we do this?
What about winter time?
Well, we might have to come up with something else, but you might have some information from Secretary of State by then. But until then, you cannot drive until your license is reinstated. Do you understand?
I'm very happy you see me walking.
Okay,
I'm very happy.
so at this point, sir, I am going to sentence you today. I'm only imposing fines and costs. I don't know that much about your financial situation, so if you need a time to pay or a payment plan, you can request it. But there's a set fine for the civil infraction, it's $200, and for the misdemeanor, it's $265. But if he needs payment plan or opportunities for other arrangements, he can request at the traffic criminal counter, and they'll go through all of that with him and determine an ability to pay and give him some accommodation if it's needed.
I will assist him with that. He is currently on disability. That's the only
Sure.
source of income, but I'll make sure I will assist him with that
So those are
process.
the minimum set fines, but I have no issue with any accommodation that they determine that he's eligible for, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so that's it, you're all set. Okay,
He was
thank you.
so cute. I just love him.
003233. This is the people of the city of Troy versus DeJuan Jerome Fletcher.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Denisha Tate, and I am a second-year law student at Detroit Mercy School of Law in good standing, and I request permission to practice pursuant to Michigan Court Rule 8.120B under the supervision of Attorney Susanna Gabarra.
Could you state your name, sir?
Juan Fletcher.
Mr. Fletcher, are you still using your mailing address on Monterey Street?
Yes.
Do you have any objection to the request that the student attorney has made on your behalf? All right, I'm going to grant it. I'll note that her supervisor is present in the courtroom. Today's a date and time set for sentencing. What would you like me to know about your client today?
Your Honor, my client has said that he's been incarcerated for around 2 months, and tomorrow he has court for another matter in Madison Heights. So at this time, we're asking for minimum fines and costs and to close the file. My client wants to clear out this issue and take care of the other matter in Madison Heights so he can tend to his medical issues and his health concerns. He has a rod in his leg currently, and he has a permanent drop foot, which means he cannot control one of his feet. Not only that, Your Honor, he said that he is not getting all his proper medication while being incarcerated. And regarding his financial situation, he currently receives disability for $940, and his rent is $850.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. Fletcher was supposed to be here for sentencing way back in February, right? You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, and then I don't know that we had any contact with you as of your sentencing date. You disappeared on us, and really at that point, I was just hoping that you were going to come back. to see if there was any ability to clear up some suspension so that I could put you in a better position for sentencing.
I had like trouble with transportation. The only transportation I really get around in is, you know, through my insurance company. And when I actually came to court, you know, the day in question, and there was a young lady I had kept speaking to and letting her know that I had to be out of here by 4 o'clock because I had surgery to be done, you know, if I have these wounds or whatever. So she told me that she would get to the case after she, you know, I got through discussing whatever with other people. And I sat out there in the hallway in the little middle row, you know, and she just never got to me. And it got to the point where I had to leave, and I made her aware of that. And then I had left before I had my surgery.
Okay, so I just wanted to be clear in that sense, because your attorney is representing that you have some jail credit. That was, of course, never the intention for you to have jail on this case. It looks like you were finally back in custody somewhere. And then on September 19th, we were aware of that, and you were arraigned on this bench warrant, which has been open since February. So you do have some jail credit on this case because it looks like the magistrate took into consideration that you had holds on other cases and imposed a low bond so that at least you're going to get credit because you had to remain in custody on the other cases. So he doesn't have 2 months of credit, but he does have credit since he was arraigned on the bench warrant on September 19th. Clearly, he looks to be in a similar set of circumstances financially as it relates to disability. I don't know the nature of the other case now that's pending that has kept you in custody, but I think that I can sentence you today, and I would just simply sentence you to, let's see, 12 days of jail time, but 12 days credit for the time that you've received since you were arraigned on the bench warrant. The goal, of course, was to have you come back in February with some updates about your licensing and then just impose a fine and send you on your way. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. And now you've had to serve this jail time because of the other case you were also in custody on. But I think that is a sentence that is sufficient for sure. And fines and costs in this case, I'm going to hold off on imposing those so we can close the file at this point. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and then last but not least, are you Tracy Williams?
Yes.
All right, could you stand up for me? This is 0002285, the people of the city of Troy versus Tracy Williams. State your name, sir.
Tracy Williams.
So, Mr. Williams, are you still using a mailing address on Raya Pell?
Yes.
So you were here today because I think we must have gotten notice that you were in custody and you had an outstanding bench warrant with our court because you had failed to appear for a show cause that was set back in January. Do you know that's why you're here?
No.
Okay, so the show cause date that you had set on January 12th was because the court had record that you owed the court fines and costs from this underlying matter and that you hadn't paid any of those fines and costs. So we set a court date for you to come in January 12th of 2024, so we could figure out why the fines and costs hadn't been paid, work with you to get them paid, but it looks like you didn't appear on that day, so a bench warrant was issued. So you've had a bench warrant in place since January of 2024. Does that make sense to you now?
Yes.
Do you remember this underlying case from 2020 where you were charged with no insurance and you pled guilty?
Yes.
Do you remember that the court imposed fines and costs at the time of your sentence?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, do you have any recollection of making any payments towards the fines and costs?
In the case I had in Troy, they froze all my bank accounts and took all my money.
This case?
Not this one. I'm in Oakland County. They froze my bank account and took all my money.
Okay, so you.
And it's been hard to get employed because I was on tether and couldn't go in certain areas. I was forced to quit work.
Okay, so you have some other matters that you were having to use financial resources to pay off. Is that what you're saying? So I'll just put it out there and let you know, it's always better that you at least communicate with the court if that's the issue, so we can try to make some arrangements. In this case, by not coming to court for your court date, it created a bigger issue for you. I have here that you are a prisoner of the Michigan Department of Corrections right now, is that right?
Yes.
So you were just recently sentenced?
Yes.
And this is holding you up and they were trying to get this cleared before they took you out to MDOC and placed you somewhere. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And you'll be there for the next 18 months?
Yes.
All right, so I'm doubtful that we would be able to work out any sort of payment arrangement to get these fines and costs paid off, which by the way, they're in the amount of $594 now. So if you're heading off to MDOC for the next 18 months, it's pretty difficult for me to expect that you will be able to maintain employment and get this paid. You were arraigned on this outstanding warrant on the 25th. So you've got about 6 days credit. So I'm just going to give you a 6-day jail sentence with 6-day credit and then close the file out. So you ended up having to serve jail time instead of making arrangements to pay. The goal, of course, for you at the beginning when I sentenced you was not to impose jail time, but because of the way that this has all ended up, unfortunately, that's what has happened. And I don't really see it as a feasible solution to set up a payment plan for you, given your current status with MDOC. Do you have any questions about how we're handling this today?
No.
All right, you're all set. Thank you. 00108. This is the people of the city of Troy versus Jose Granado Aboite.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May I please support Zena Isaga here on behalf and with Mr. Granado, who's approaching. State your name for the record, sir.
Mr. Luis Fernando Aboite.
So are you still using the same address that I have for you on Clark Street in Detroit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Today is a date and time that has been scheduled for a violation of probation pretrial. I believe your client was just here a couple of weeks ago on the 11th for the arraignment, so he's already been advised of the violation allegations, and he had requested a pretrial date. So how is he going to proceed today?
We went over his rights yesterday, or the day before, actually, via telephone. He understands that he has a right to a contested hearing. He is waiving that right and is prepared to plead guilty.
All right. So you understand, or hopefully you recall, but if not, we'll discuss it again on the record. You've got these 2 technical violations that are before the court. In a situation where you're on probation for the offense of no valid license in possession, the maximum penalty could be up to 90 days in the Oakland County Jail for a sanction. With 2 technical violations, though, the amount of jail time would be capped to 10 days. That's the maximum jail that could be imposed if you're found guilty or you plead guilty to the violations. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you also understand that if you wanted to challenge either one of these allegations, you'd have the right to have a hearing? Mr. Motzi from the prosecutor's office would appear at a hearing and be required to present evidence to establish that you violated probation in these ways, and they have to meet a preponderance of the evidence standard at the hearing. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it your decision today, after discussing this case with your attorney, to waive your right to have a hearing and instead plead guilty to the violations?
You said which violation were there? The clear the warrants and the license? I have a license. Well, I just need to take my road test. I have a permit for this.
Okay, so
Too many violations to remember, dude? Do you need a spreadsheet?
this is based on the status of probation at the time the violation was issued by the PO. So you can provide me some updates if your circumstances have changed since the violation was issued. But this violation was issued, well, it's been a little bit of time here since you already had your arraignment on the violation. This violation was issued on 8/26 of 2024, so August 26th. At that time, it was alleged that you still had outstanding bench warrants and that you had failed to clear your suspensions and get a driver's license.
No.
So it's based on that time frame. Anything you want me to consider that happened after that, you can provide as an explanation. Do you understand the allegations?
Yes.
And is it true at this time that you're going to waive your right to a hearing because you intend to plead guilty?
Yes.
So at the time the violation was issued, is it true that you had failed to clear all your bench warrants?
Yes.
And is it true that at that time you had not cleared all of your outstanding tickets and obtained a driver's license?
Yes.
All right, so the court will accept your pleas and we can move forward with sentencing. There was an update to the report that's been prepared by Ms. Munoz. It indicates that she can see that as of 9/12, you had obtained a license, which I believe you're telling me is a permit. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I know that that was part of the discussion on why you wanted to set this for a pretrial at the time you're here for the arraignment. But it does still indicate that you've got outstanding bench warrants in the courts that are listed on the summary report. So what, if anything, would you like the court to consider for sentencing?
Oh, it's because I feel like I have enough time because I work out of state, because since I wasn't allowed to drive for the most part, well, at all, I had to get a job like that. So like
right before I had got my permit, I had paid like over $3,000 to the city of Detroit to get that, so I just didn't have like enough money or time to get these other ones handled. And then,
Okay, I see. So I know that we had you on for a year. And the reason that the violations actually came up at the time that they did was because you were supposed to be discharged, but there were still some things outstanding, so they had to issue a violation. It does indicate that you still had a civil infraction that you owed money on in this court. Are you aware of that?
yes, I could take care of that today.
All right, and Ms. Ishak, is there anything else that you'd like the court to consider?
Yes, Your Honor. Respectfully, he stands before you this afternoon. He's 27 years old. He is doing the best he can, Judge. He works 40 hours or more. He's paid off those warrants at the 36th District Court, as he indicated, that's many thousands. He has passed his written test and he needs to schedule his driver's test. So, you know, he'll be driving on the road legally. With that being said, after looking at this report and speaking with him today, my client can pay the $175. He does understand that there are 4 pending bench warrants. He also understands that the court can hold him for a warrant check. But he's, at the same time, Judge, he's asking that you extend probation and allow him to complete, take care of these warrants, come back with a bail license after taking the road test. He wants to be discharged successfully.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Anything from the people?
No, thank you.
All right, well, I'll extend you out for 4 months because really it's an extension from your discharge date. And you've already got a month past your discharge date, just getting to today's date. So an extension of 4 months really gives you about 3 months to complete these requirements, which is just to clear the warrants. You've got to maintain your license. Now, the big concern is in wanting you to clear the warrants is that you've worked really hard to get the license, but you still have outstanding issues that could impact your license when you clear them. So that's why it's so important to take care of the warrants, because some of these cases could result, depending on how they end, in a sanction against your driving privileges again. So that's why we are encouraging you to take care of all of these before you get your license reinstated. But at this point, you've got the permit. You need to schedule the road test. A couple of these are just civil infractions, which I would never even hold you for a warrant check on them. But the others, you'll have another 90 days really from today's date to get them taken care of and complete the road test so that you can be done with probation and discharged with improvement. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So you still have to be supervised to the extent you'll have to check in with the PO. I'm not going to require that you pay oversight fees because I would prefer that you use them to pay the $175 that you still owe and take care of these other matters. But you have to appear if they ask you for an appointment, you've got to show up and let them know what's going on. And I don't want to see any indication that you're driving until your license is fully reinstated. So you can only drive within the restrictions that you have, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any questions? Head out to the front counter.
So the judge.
I'm not saying he wasn't in front of Judge Bryant. I just, haven't found it yet. If I find it, I'll play it just for you, Joey. Whether it's good or not. I thought that was cool, though, that his big concern was that he wanted to be discharged successfully, and they found a way to facilitate that if he's willing to work for it. I do have more, but this is the docket that I've seen none of. So we're going into the land of imagination. Hopefully it isn't terrible.
All rise.
Good morning, Ms. Donlin, are you ready?
Yes, sure.
Hey, this is People versus Eric Perryman, and that is file 2271 of 2024. Good morning, Mr. Perryman. Who you got with you? Okay, hi. Ms.
He's Mr. Mom.
Yep. Ms. Conlon is here on behalf of Mr. Perryman, and this is the date for sentencing on the defendant's conviction of disorderly jostling. Ms. Conlon, if you had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence report with your client, is it accurate and complete?
Yes, Your Honor, we have reviewed it. I believe it is accurate and complete. Thank you.
All right, then what else would you like me to know?
Well, Your Honor, I've talked to Mr. Perryman, obviously, about this incident several times, and he has consistently expressed to me that he's very remorseful for what happened. He saw, what he thought his wife was being shoved, or she was being shoved, and he reacted in a bad manner. And he admits that. He does have priors, however, his most recent conviction was 10 years ago. He's basically just been being a dad. He's not working right now. His wife's working and supporting the family, so he's taking care of their kids. I think that he's not going to be doing anything like this again. I think he did learn something from it. He's got to react differently in high stress situations like this. So I think Ms. Helmer's made some good recommendations for his terms of probation. I think he'll do well on probation and not have any further problems. So I would ask, Your Honor, that you adopt the recommendations, but maybe consider lowering the court costs a little bit since he's not working right now.
Okay, Mr. Perryman, anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do feel remorse, so I do apologize for what happened to him. I wish I could have personally went to him and apologized to him myself, but due to circumstances I can't. But I would like to apologize to him in front of you guys, let you know that I'm remorse for what happened. I wish it never took place.
Okay. I do see Ms. Traska is on the line from our probation office. Oh, there's Ms. Helmer. Ms. Helmer, I did have one question for you about the pre-sentence report. Under the defendant's statement, the last sentence, it says the defendant was advised he was arrested for DV but not formally charged. You're talking about in this incident on May 15th. There's not a separate investigation out there for DV.
If I recall, I thought that there was some sort of, I thought he did tell me that there was some sort of other arrest that happened afterwards, but didn't turn into anything.
Oh, that was okay. I had a restraining violation.
Okay, hang on. I want Ms. Conlon seems to know a little bit more about
Yeah,
this.
I did discuss that, I believe with Mr. Wild, Your Honor. There had been a DV complaint involving Mr. Perryman and his wife. However, that was investigated and the prosecutor's office did not find probable cause to charge him. So nothing came of that.
When was that?
When did that happen, Eric?
What's the first that happened on? What the charge that the message was supposed to happen? That's on
Yeah, it was a while. It was a while ago, Your Honor. I'm not remembering exactly. I think it was, this incident happened on May 15th, and I want to say it was after that. But again, it's my understanding from talking to Mr. Wiles that it was investigated and they chose not to charge him.
Okay. And it didn't have anything to do with the plea in this case?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
That was not part of the plea offer.
All right. So this is sentencing on the defendant's conviction of disorderly person jostling. He was originally charged as an assault and battery. And I honestly am not completely sure about how this all happened. I'm not sure the defendant is either, but It happened outside the Goodwill Inn. Kevin Merkel, the victim, says that he tried to intervene in a fight between a woman named Brandy and Eric Perryman. And there were several other people involved, but the bottom line is the defendant admitted to striking Mr. Merkel in the face. And Mr. Merkel did have blood on his face. He was missing a front tooth. And there's video footage that showed the defendant striking Mr. Merkel in the face. And then Mr. Merkel was also pushed over a landscape retaining wall by another party. It's not clear whether the bloody face and the missing tooth were a result of the punch or of going over the retaining wall. There were other assaults that were also observed on the video. The defendant, according to Ms. Helmrich, did appear to be remorseful for his actions. He said he initially intervened to try to quell the situation, I guess. Says he even tried to apologize to Mr. Merkel while the police were investigating, but police thought that was probably a bad idea at the time. Defendant apparently was investigated for DV, but there was no charge sometime after this occurred. The defendant does have a history for assaultive conduct. There's a domestic violence in 2012, and there was a probation for 6 months. Says he did 93 days in jail. So it sounds like it wasn't a successful probation. There's also an assault charge dismissed in Grand Traverse County in 2022. And the rest of the record has to do with theft offenses. And the defendant has done significant time in jail as a result of that. As far as I know, there hasn't been any violation of the no contact order or other bond violations. The defendant does seem remorseful here today. And again, it's not entirely clear what was going on here, whether the defendant, well, I'm assuming the reason for the plea offer was because it wasn't clear whether the defendant felt maybe he was defending one or more persons involved in the incident. What's bad here is that this is the Goodwill, and people go there to seek shelter and safety, and they don't want to be involved in assaultive conduct or other bad behaviors. It shouldn't be like that. And
what's bad here is Mr. Merkel got his butt kicked for no reason and pushed over a retaining wall. That's what's bad here.
you give the place a black eye when you engage in this kind of behavior. So that's very unfortunate. The defendant was arrested. He served 2 days in jail. So the recommendation is for a 1-year probation, and I think we'll go along with that. The defendant does have 4 children. He's not working. He's taking care of, well, he's working, taking care of 4 kids, while his wife is providing financially. So for those reasons, I am going to waive the fines, costs, and the attorney fee. It'll be $75 Crime Victims' Rights Fund fee, $50 judicial system fee. There's been no request for restitution. And the purpose of the probation is to provide some anger management counseling and some community service work, and otherwise try to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. So to that end, the defendant's not to be in possession of any firearms or weapons, not to behave in a violent, threatening, intimidating, or harassing manner toward anyone, be respectful of court employees and care providers, attend anger management counseling by a counselor approved by your probation agent, a minimum of 6 sessions. You're also to complete 3 days of community service work. Otherwise, the sentence will be 6 days in jail for violation of that condition. You're not to have any contact directly or indirectly with Brandy Marks or Kevin Merkel, or go within 500 yards of their workplace or residence. Jail is credit for the 2 days you've already served, and other than that, you need to notify your probation agent if you do have any contacts with law enforcement. And I need you to reach out to the probation department. Ms. Helmerich is going to go over the conditions of the probation with you, answer any questions that you have. And Ms. Conlon will give you the phone number to call today between 1 and 3:30, okay? All right, is there anything else for you, Ms. Conlon?
No, thank you.
Did I miss anything, Ms. Helmerich, or any other conditions you think would be appropriate?
No, Your Honor, sounds good.
All right, thank you, and we're all set. Good luck to you, sir. 1 year, yeah.
There you go.
Was there early release, Judge?
No, because it's an assault of crimes, no. Yep. Morning, Mr. Graff.
Morning.
Let's see, I was expecting Razzavi, but we can get started with your case if you're ready.
Very well, thank you.
Hey, this is file 9726 of 2023, People versus Rodney Bubnick. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And Mr. Graff is here on behalf of Mr. Bubnick. This is the date for sentencing on defendant's conviction of embezzlement. And let's see, Mr. Graff, have you had an opportunity to go to the pre-sentence investigation with your client, and is it accurate and complete?
Good morning. Yes, we have, Your Honor. The only things we would add is, I guess, during allocution.
Okay, then go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, I guess to update the court, my client came prepared today to pay the restitution. They tried to pay it before. Obviously, there's no court order, so they couldn't accept the money, but they are prepared after the court imposes the restitution in order to make that right. I think when we take a look at the PSIs, you'll see it's been.
Since you're talking about restitution,
yes,
I thought he stole 1 can and it was $11, but the restitution is listed as $22.99.
I was a little confused about that myself. Obviously, there's something called a cracker, but I'm not sure that that was.
Oh, that's right.
But
There's a cracker. What the heck is a cracker anyway?
I think, okay. Snack.
Oh, an actual cracker. Okay.
Yes, it's correct. It's actually pack of crackers.
Okay, I don't know what kind of crackers they sell at Sweet Fire Tobacco, but anyway, so we'll go with the $22.99 then.
Very well.
What else would you like me to know?
We are, as you'll see, Mr. Bubnick has not been in trouble since 2005. It's been about 19 years. This is an unfortunate situation. I think he had a good job and he was starting to work his way up there, but unfortunately made a poor choice. And I think he understands the impact on a small business owner of taking things. Obviously, they have very sophisticated cameras and technology for in order to provide surveillance, and he knew that. It's just unfortunate he made this decision because it sounds like they were in a tight spot and he probably could have continued to advance in that business if he hadn't made this poor choice. But I think given the way he's responded to this, I think given his attitude, I think given his lack of record in the last 19 years, I think this is a proper and a fair resolution. The only thing that Mr. Bubnick noted to me that he had a concern about, and I thought this is something probably worked out with probation, is the urine screens. Apparently he has a medical condition with his prostate, and so it can make it difficult to provide a urine sample. And so he can provide documentation to the probation agent. I don't know if alternatively they want to do mouth swabs or some other accommodation can be made so that he's not violated for having this issue. So we want to let the court know today as opposed to not saying anything.
Okay, well, I don't quite know how to fashion an order without first knowing that there's going to be a violation. I'm a little surprised because I would think with a prostate problem, it'd be the opposite. As far as having to urinate, but and I wanted to note Ms. Jacobs is here, the probation officer on the screen. But I guess we'll deal with that when the time comes. Do they do mouth swabs at New Direction?
I'm not sure they do. And that's why I wanted to bring it up so that he wasn't caught in catch-22 sitting there at 8:30 one morning with the clock ticking until 9 o'clock and not being able to provide a sample or something. So we thought we'd bring it up and everyone worked this out before that issue presented itself.
All right, well, maybe Mr. Bubnick can give me some more information about that. And I certainly don't mean to embarrass you or anything.
Yeah, so I take a medicine called Flomax.
Oh, and that reduces the urge to use the bathroom, is that?
Well, it's supposed to help the prostate from being enlarged or where flow can come out.
Okay.
I mean,
and it works really well, it sounds like. Okay. Well, Ms. Jacobs, do you have any suggestions here? Have you heard this conversation? Okay, she's got an idea.
Your Honor, generally if someone has issues with the actual urine screens, they can fill out an ADA accommodation form there at the court, and then our court administrator will approve or deny it. If she approves it, she will send it to New Direction and they can do mouth swabs.
Well, they can. Okay. So I am approving that ADA request now. You don't have to fill out a form. And we'll do the mouth swabs. Okay. But we'll probably need some paperwork anyway, so New Directions knows what they're supposed to do. Okay. That's the benefit of having a community corrections officer who's now a probation officer. So thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Okay. What else would you like me to know about the case then, Mr. Bubnick?
I think that's about it.
Okay, so this is sentencing on defendant's conviction of embezzlement less than $200. There's been an agreement for a delay. And the facts are the defendant called his boss, said he wasn't feeling well and was throwing up, and he called his boss to take over at the shop. Apparently he was by himself there, and for some reason the boss was suspicious. There didn't appear to be any evidence of the defendant being ill other than his statements, and upon reviewing security footage, it was found the defendant stole a whippet, and that's nitrous oxide, and defendant and placed it in his pocket without paying for it. Defendant later also admitted taking a cracker from a box. Apparently that's just a regular cracker to make your stomach feel better. And I understand that. Don't understand the whippet at all, how that was going to make you feel any better, but that's why the defendant said he took it. There was a prior conviction in 2005, as Mr. Graff points out, almost 2 decades ago. Those were controlled substance offenses, and even though this was a substance, I don't know about control, but I don't think so. But this seems to be completely different sort of facts. The defendant does appear to have some kind of substance use disorder in full remission, given the fact he's taking the Sublocade. But that all seems to be controlled. But I think that makes it fair to impose the drug and alcohol conditions that are part of the recommendations in this case. The defendant is self-employed, apparently doing work for Airbnbs, lost his job as a result of this, so that was a substantial collateral consequence of what happened. The defendant did not express a lot of excitement about probation, but I'm guessing because he's not asking for a straight jail sentence here, that he's decided he wants to complete the delay, keep this off his record. And so I will go along with the probation that is 1 year with a delay, no early release from the supervision, given the plea bargain. The fine is going to be $100. The cost will be $400, 75 crime victim, $50 judicial system fee. There's a $275 court-appointed attorney fee and $22.99 in restitution. The purpose of the probation is to achieve the rehabilitative goals expressed in the plea agreement to hopefully prevent something like this from happening again. And the thing about embezzlement is when someone gives you a job and they're paying you and kind of helping you out, I guess, it's a little bit like stealing from family. And so it hurts a little bit more. I noticed there was a victim impact statement in this case, and obviously the owner was pretty upset about it, and that's why. So I see embezzlement as just a little bit worse than retail fraud or something like that. So the conditions of the probation will be that you're not to consume or possess alcohol, no mind or mood altering substances, no non-prescribed medications or illegal drugs, obviously. If you do have a prescription, make sure Ms. Jacobs gets a copy of that so she's aware of anything that might show up on a drug screen. You're only to take your medications as prescribed by your treating physician and take them as prescribed. In addition, you're not to behave in a violent, threatening, intimidating, or harassing manner toward anyone. Be respectful of court employees and care providers. You're to attend and fully cooperate in the theft, shoplifting class through life skills. Let's see, I'm not going to impose the community service work. The defendant did spend 2 days in jail apparently as a result of this. And that's the reason why. You're also to take and pass a minimum of twice monthly random drug screens. There will be discretionary testing for both drugs and alcohol. You're not to return to sweet fire tobacco for any reason. Your probation agent will have the ability, the discretion to reduce the testing if you continue to do well on that. Jail is credit for the 2 days you've already served. And other than that, you need to notify Ms. Jacobs if you have any contacts with law enforcement. So that means getting pulled over for a speeding ticket, for example. Is there anything else, Mr. Graff?
No, thank you, Your Honor. I'm giving Mr. Boznick the phone number for probation, and I guess they'll probably wait around a couple minutes so they can pay off that restitution once the order gets processed through the front desk.
Okay, so make sure you call that number between 1 and 3:30 this afternoon. They're going to set up an appointment between you and Ms. Jacobs to go over the conditions of probation and answer any questions that you have. Ms. Jacobs, did I miss anything, or do you have any additional recommendations?
No, Your Honor, I think you covered everything.
Okay, then we are all set. Good luck to you, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Wow. The amount of information we learned in the chat tonight. Holy cows. I actually love the smell of rubber cement. Not gonna lie. I love that smell. I never abused that smell. I did not like that one. Sharpies, those smell pretty darn good too. It's a nostalgic smell. But again, I never smelled them in excess. I even think gasoline smells good, but I would never, Oh my gosh. That's why they started putting bitters in all of that kind of stuff. So it actually, I use it for my computer. It contains bitterant to help discourage inhalant abuse, because to abuse it, my understanding is they would turn it upside down. If you notice, when you do that, it has a different smell. That's the bitterant, which makes it taste nasty. Plus, these cans get like freezing freaking cold in like 2 seconds. So, yeah, wow. Oh no, man. I knew someone who did that. Oh no, buddy. Oh. I do not know who Mike Nesmith is, but his mom is very intelligent. Yeah. See, I'm not alone. My girl gets me. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. If something funky gets typed, y'all, Billy is like flomping his tail on the keyboard. Oh wow. Okay. All right. I think we've learned enough here. Wow. Okay, to put it in perspective, the guy that I knew that abused inhalants, there was one time he was sitting around with some friends and he was holding a baseball and he said, "I wonder if this would hurt." And he put his arm back as far as he could and cracked himself in the forehead. He knocked himself out for a little good while. We left him there for a good while. Yeah, he was okay. As okay as he could be. And no, he did not do that. He did not do the inhalant around us. Did the inhalant before he showed up. Yeah. No, it's not over. I felt like we needed to talk on that one. Exactly. Oh, yes. That was like the last time I saw him. Yeah. Yeah, he's a whole story. He's a whole chapter that got closed. Yep. That book, I didn't even finish reading it. Didn't need to.
Mr. Razzavi?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, that is file 2201 of 2024, People versus Kenneth Mader. Good morning, sir. And Mr. Razzavi is here on behalf of the defendant. This is the date for sentencing on defendant's conviction of disorderly person. Ms. Traska is here on behalf of our probation office on the screen there. Mr. Razzavi, have you reviewed the pre-sentence report with your client, and is it accurate and complete?
The pre-sentence report is accurate, just some brief edits on the evaluation. Under behavioral observations, it indicates he shared at the onset of the interview that he works in quotation midnights and has not slept yet. There was a little more to that. Mr. Mader does work midnights. He actually works third shift. I'm
down to second shift right now.
Okay.
They moved me down to second.
And currently, so he does work late. He also is homeless and lives in a tent. So getting around is difficult for him. Sleep has been difficult for him, and that can kind of goes to why the evaluation had some snags in it. The other thing during the evaluation, I guess it indicated that he admitted to using mushrooms and LSD many years ago. He says he has never used LSD in his life and did not provide that information. The rest of the document is accurate.
Okay, I would like what else would you like me to know then, Mr. Razzavi?
Thank you, Your Honor. Through allocution here, Your Honor, as I've referenced, Mr. Mader is homeless. He lives in the tents, and he works. He had been working late nights. He indicates to me that he has struggled getting here for his initial PSI. He rode his bike here only to find out it had been rescheduled. So that was very frustrating for him. I do believe he ultimately did come back to complete the PSI, but again, sort of an explanation for where that interview had some difficulties. But as to this actual offense, Your Honor, Mr. Mader does appreciate that this was reduced. I do think that the facts and circumstances support that reduction. So Mr. Mader was at a residence where he was permitted to be at. However, he was drinking alcohol, and the person that permitted him to be at the residence wasn't happy with that. So they contacted law enforcement. It didn't appear that law enforcement was necessarily going to do anything until they ran Mr. Mader's name and found out he had an active warrant. They came on that warrant, and Mr. Mader was arrested subsequently on that warrant. He didn't commit a new crime leading to the R&O that was charged. So the R&O happened as a matter of them executing the old warrant from his offense in the 13th Circuit Court. The R&O he was not cooperative. He did not strike out at the officer or do anything in a violent sense. He did not cooperate. So ultimately, this was reduced down to a disorderly person, the 90-day misdemeanor. So that's how that all happened. As I've indicated, and as you have in your report, he does have prior convictions, but most of those convictions are 19 to 20 years ago. His most recent conviction was in 2020, and that was essentially panhandling in Carolina. So outside of this event here, he had stayed out of trouble for a significant period of time. Of course, he has struggled financially and with housing stability, but he is working. It's not like someone that's not working at all. He does have a job. He enjoys working. He tells me he enjoys working with the people that he works with. He had some serious concerns about his ability to comply with probation due to his housing situation, his financial instability, the fact that he cannot drive, and prior experiences on probation. He also candidly struggles discussing his life with people. He and I got off to a rocky start, and as I chuckle now, I don't feel that way. The more interaction I have with Mr. Mader, the more I understand and in some degree sympathize and empathize with his position. It's a tough spot, and he hasn't quit. Like I say, he keeps on trying to dig himself out. This was a bad night. I know he regrets it. You know, and I think he regrets how he came off in these interviews. But he has an explanation for that, and it's something that he's going to continue to work on. So, Your Honor, you know, circling back, I guess I understand the recommendation to have some form of jail because we're not going to be doing probation. But I do not think a moderate or lengthy sentence is necessary. Mr. Mader is ready to do his time and get back to work. You haven't seen him in 20 years here in Michigan. I don't think we're going to be seeing him again once he gets his fresh start. And I know that Mr. Mader wants to address, you know, essentially the communication that happened in the evaluation.
Okay, so Mr. Mader, I would like to hear from you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir, it's just as far as like my PSI thing. At that time, I was working midnights, third shift, 12 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I was doing it for like a whole month, trying to sleep out at 10 out in the hot heat and sun. And it was like maybe a few hours of sleep a day, really difficult to sleep. But I work around food. I have to have like clean clothes, clean bodies. So I got to ride my bike to the laundromat, wash clothes, have enough time to like go get a shower at the gym and get like, you know, a little workout, whatever, to stay clean. And I came all the way down here to do the PSI, and then they just turned me around, and I got to ride a bike everywhere. Like I had a DUI over 20 years ago, and I've never had one since. I've been riding a bike everywhere or walking everywhere I went. And then like, at this point, I'm like so ready just to give up. It's like so much, I barely even pedal, so dead tired. You know, I just want to just totally give up on things. I mean, it gets really exhausting trying to do all that stuff. And I'm working, I'm trying to better myself, you know, I'm trying to save money, get into a place for this winter, keep the job. But, you know, I don't have any promises from work, even if I go to jail. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna lose the job. I haven't been in trouble in like a long time. I've had a panhandling charge in South Carolina. You know, I'm sorry, I'm not that argumentative, disrespectful person. I'm just circumstances that were going around me just left me a little bit tense. You know, I don't mean to come off like hard or anything. Give me jail time. I don't want to do probation. I have problems with people like and doing probation or anything like that. It puts me around that kind of environment to where I feel unsafe. I've had some problems with some people. And just being in that kind of environment is puts me around more people that would try to like threaten me or stuff like that. So I'm like, all I can say is that I apologize for, being drunk and disorderly and being uncooperative to the officer. I am trying to better myself. I've been working, not giving up, showing up no matter what, no matter how hard it gets to be to get around and all that. Just probation, riding the bike everywhere, winter, side of the road, cold, riding the bike 10 miles a day. It gets to be a lot. Not 18, 20.
Ms. Traska, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nothing that hasn't already been said. I will just reiterate it was a little difficult to get information during the pre-sentence investigation. So if anything is a little confusing, I can do my best to elaborate.
Okay, well, I don't think there was anything that was confusing. So you're still working for New
Yes,
Tree
I am.
Fruit?
Yes,
How many hours do you work there?
full time, 5 days a week.
That's where you would be right now if you weren't.
No, I'd be there at 4 p.m. tonight.
Oh, you go in at 4.
Yeah, I was working midnight and then moving on to the second shift.
It says in the report you're planning to quit that job.
At that point where I had to like turn around and come back and do it the next day. Yes, at that point I did. I was so dead tired that I had to like call into work and say I couldn't show up. And I missed a day that day. And the guy just told me to come back the next day. Then we had to talk and he was just like, I need you to be here. I know you're going through a difficult time, but I am still working there and they say they do a really good job on it and they want to keep me around. That's one of the reasons why I was just so frustrated that I had to go pedal all the way back to my spot, and wherever I was staying, and come back the next day, and go back again, and that's like, I don't know, like, so tiring for me, and then trying to take care of myself on top of that, have good hygiene. I was just so ready just to give up. I so wanted to quit that day. I did tell her that. And
Well, see, you're putting me in a tough position because you don't want to do probation, but you don't want to lose your job. And you can't behave the way you did with the police and not expect to get anything out of that.
yes, sir, I understand. I was just like, understanding that I'm gonna do like 2 years probation over the deal. But
Well, that's the maximum I could give you.
I don't have a problem with doing probation if it can keep me out of jail time and allow me to keep my job. It's just.
Well, the big thing is I don't want you consuming alcohol because that's how you get in
I don't
these
have a problem
spots.
not consuming alcohol. I mean, I can do, I don't know, I guess I can get like a box or something. I don't have a problem with it. I don't. That's not the issue.
Well, you've had a test before on these drunk driving offenses. How do you think you'd do if I gave you a 4 times a month breath test?
That's fine with me, sir.
You could get to New Directions testing out on South Airport there.
If it's like 4 times a month, I can do that. So
Where's New Tree Fruit?
It's on airport, off airport, and
Oh,
sorry, my memory got, it's
Yeah.
kind of had some head injuries.
is there something else, Mr. Razzie?
I was wondering the same, and if my concern was the proximity to New Directions, but that's near your work, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's probably, if it's 4 times a month, I can handle something like that. That's, like everyday deal is just like, it's a lot, man, trying to get around on something like that, sir.
Yeah. Are you in the Pines or somewhere else?
No, I'm somewhere else. I'm a little bit closer by work. I
Probably out by
separated myself from the Pines just because.
All right.
Just the scene, I don't want to be.
Okay, so do you have contact with community mental health at all?
I went to go talk to them a couple months ago and they just told them what's going on. And they just sent me away, said I don't fit the criteria of mental health issues.
Okay. Okay, so this is sentencing on defendant's conviction of disorderly person. It was originally charged as an attempt to resist and obstruct an officer. And the facts are the defendant was inside a building owned by Mr. Crum, and the defendant was given a job to help clean up the building. He was not given permission to stay there overnight. Defendant was inside the building upstairs drunk, and Mr. Crum called the police, and the defendant was trespassed from the property at that time. Actually, I would call that a B&E illegal entry because he wasn't supposed to be sleeping there, but to me, that was the underlying offense. The defendant was wasted. He was also making suicidal and homicidal statements. And when the police arrested him because he wouldn't cooperate, he continued to not cooperate. He became dead weight, as they put it, refused to get in the car. He had to be pulled into the patrol vehicle. And as he was transported to the jail, he was banging his head against the divider and kicked the window. The defendant made nonsensical statements to his probation officers, said that Mr. Crum lied about the reason for the arrest. The police lied, said he has enemies in the mafia and the cartel, and has no interest in probation, and it would put him in a vulnerable situation. So I don't quite understand that last part, because jail might seem like a place where you'd be vulnerable, not probation, where we're just trying to have you engage in services to keep you on the right path to stay out of trouble and not end up here again. So the defendant is employed, even though he's homeless, and says he works 5 days a week, and has a GED, otherwise seems to be getting by okay. As Mr. Razvi points out, defendant hasn't had any involvement with the law in this area anyway. Since 2005, he's got a petty offense for pedestrians on highway, which was apparently a panhandling conviction, and just received fines and costs there. So after further discussing this with Mr. Mader, I'm going to override the recommendation of the probation officer. Mr. Mr. Mater does seem to have a motivation to not do a jail sentence. And frankly, I think that maybe you've been able to stay out of trouble because you kept things under control with the drinking, but it seems to have resurfaced in this case. I'm real concerned about that, and I would like to see you get some kind of, some kind of motivation to stay off drinking. So for those reasons, I'm going to place you on probation for a period of 6 months. I will consider early release from supervision at the 3-month mark if you continue to do well. The fines, costs, and attorney fees are waived. There's a $75 Crime Victims' Rights Fund fee and a $50 judicial system fee. The conditions of your probation are that you not consume or possess alcohol, no mind or mood altering substances or non-prescribed medications or illegal drugs. You need to provide a copy of any prescriptions you do have or may get in the future to your probation agent, Ms. Traska. And that's so if there is a discretionary urine screen, we know what to expect. I'll impose testing of 4 times per month, morning preliminary breath tests. Those are random, and you'll need to talk to Ms. Traska about how those are done, okay? There will be discretionary testing as well for both drugs and alcohol at the request of either a law enforcement officer or court personnel. You're not to engage in violent, threatening, intimidating, or harassing behavior toward anyone. Be respectful of court employees and care providers. You're not to return to 2188 Sandry Drive in Traverse City. And you're not to have any or go within 500 yards of that address. You're not to have any contact with Jeffrey Crum or go within 500 yards of Mr. Crum's workplace or residence. You're not to be in possession of firearms or weapons or let's see, you are to maintain full-time employment. You're to complete an intake with community mental health. Follow any recommendations they have for services. You're to report any contacts you have with law enforcement to your probation agent. Ms. Trask, is there anything else you might recommend?
Nothing that I can think of. That all sounds good.
Okay, Mr. Raspberry, anything for you?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is all to keep you from coming back to court. If you complete all of these conditions of probation, you'll be in a much better spot and you'll hang on to your job, okay? And maybe you'll have that money saved up so you can get a place before winter, okay?
Yes, sir.
So it's all for your benefit. You'll need to reach out to the probation office today between 1 and 3:30. They're going to set up an appointment for you to see Ms. Traska, and she's going to go over those conditions with you. She'll answer any questions for you. Oh, and I should note there was 3 days credit for time served.
Okay, and can you tell me the employment term again? I missed that
Just
one.
maintain full-time employment,
Thank you.
meaning at least 30 hours per week. Okay. Then if there's nothing else, we're all set. Mr. Raspberry will give you the phone number to call the probation office, and make sure you don't miss that. We're all set then for this morning, and good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep, thanks.
bring those up real quick.
Sure, if you want to.
Hey, Mr. Hubble, are you ready on Divine Moore?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Moore, can you hear me? Okay, this is Judge Cooney.
Yes, Your Honor, I can.
Very good. That is file 2609 of 2024, People versus Moore, and Mr. Hubble is here on behalf of the defendant. And this is the date for a plea. The pretrial conference memorandum states that defendant may plead guilty to count 1, which is assault or assault and battery with a 1-year delay. The people will dismiss count 2, and they'll dismiss count 1 at the end of a successful probation. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement, Mr. Hubble?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, is the little girl on the bottom, is that the defendant? She looks way too sweet and innocent for those charges. What?
And is that your understanding as well, Ms. Moore? Hope I couldn't hear you.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. Yes.
Okay, very good. And you can leave yourself unmuted at this point. So has any, other than what has been stated, has anything else been promised to you to get you to plead guilty, or have you been threatened, forced, or coerced in any way to get you to change your plea?
No, sir.
And you understand if I accept your plea, you'll be giving up any future claim that your plea was a result of promises, threats, or other inducements that have not been disclosed?
Yes, sir, I understand. Yes, Your Honor.
The way the delayed sentence works, I'm sure Mr. Hubble's gone over that with you, but I want to make sure you understand you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. You'll almost certainly be required to complete some sort of anger management counseling, so long as you comply with all the conditions of probation. The case will be dismissed at the end. That means you won't have any public record of this, and typically you wouldn't receive any additional jail time. On the flip side, if you violate the conditions of probation, a conviction will become a permanent part of your record, and you could be sentenced to up to 93 days in jail. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Has Mr. Hubble answered all of your questions to your satisfaction?
Yes, Your Honor, he has.
And I'm sure he's gone over your trial rights with you, including your right to a jury trial, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, he has.
Okay, I see you signed an advice of rights form that went over those trial rights also. Did you read and understand all of those rights prior to signing the advice of rights form?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And you understand that you're giving up all of those rights when you plead guilty, including your right to a jury trial, and is that what you wish to do? And is it of your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
The complaint alleges that on July 10th, at a location in Garfield Township in Grand Traverse County, that would be at the Crossing Circle Strip Mall, that you assaulted Katrina Lee Kensington Hobbs. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you assault Ms. Hobbs?
I punched her and I punched her and I pushed her.
And this wasn't just horseplay, you were upset with her and that's why you punched her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you cause any injury?
In the police report that I read, she had a bump on her head.
Okay. And you weren't trying to defend yourself, or at least you're not claiming self-defense or any other defense, correct?
Correct.
Then to the charge of assault or assault and battery, and count one, how do you plead?
This is for Katrina.
Yeah.
Yes, I plead guilty, sir. Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept your plea, find this voluntary, accurate, and understanding. Count two, the assault and battery on Ryan Hine is dismissed. And we'll schedule this for sentencing at a later date. I'd like to get a pre-sentence investigation report. Is there any need for an evaluation, Mr. Hubble?
She is doing some counseling and she's connected with the outfit downstate. It might be helpful for the court to get some information from them, but I will follow up with her and try and see if I can get some information from New Hope Youth Opportunity, because I think it will speak well of her and the progress she's made.
Okay, so I am going to request not just the PSI, but also an evaluation, which may be from New Hope, if you're able to provide that to the probation agent. And it's a substitute for a substance use evaluation. In addition, well, Ms. Martin, what's the date for sentencing?
October 24 at 9, if it works.
Okay, is that going to work for you, Mr. Hubble?
Did you say October 24th?
Yep, 9 a.m.
Yes, I do have another hearing in front of Judge Stepka at 9:30, but that should be fine.
Okay, we'll work with you if need be. So, Ms. Moore, we're going to be back on that date and time. What I need you to do next is call our probation office between 1 and 3:30 this afternoon. They're going to prepare a report for me, so they want to interview you so I can fashion an appropriate sentence. They'll also talk to you about the evaluation and what you've done at New Hope. So please call this afternoon, and here's the phone number. Have you got a pen handy?
I can text it to her, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hubble will text that to you, and if there's nothing else, we're all set for this morning, and we'll see you back on October 24th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hubble.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She's got such an angry vibe. Like, I don't get it. She just exudes anger and just disdain for everything. Like, I just, wow.
Okay, so that takes us up to our 10:15, and I don't see him yet. Oh, Mr. Hubble's here. We don't have Kuchera on the line, do we?
I did speak to him this morning. I know he's planning on appearing at 10:15.
Okay, well, we'll take a short recess. Any need to talk to him in a breakout before we come back?
I think I'm all set, but I'll double check with him when he appears. Thank you. I did
thank you.
confirm that by text message this morning, but I just want to make sure.
Okay, very good. See you back in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Right, good morning. This is People versus Sebastian Kuchera. 2607 of 2024. Mr. Hubble is here on behalf of Mr. Kuchera, and this is the date set for a plea. The pretrial memorandum states that, let's see, the people filed amended complaint for domestic violence first offense. Offer is if the defendant pleads guilty, the people would recommend no jail time and a probationary sentence instead. Mr. Hubble, is that an accurate and a complete statement of the plea agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kuchera, is that your understanding of the plea agreement as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than what's been stated, has anything else been promised to you to get you to plead guilty, or have you been threatened, forced, or coerced in any way to get you to plead guilty?
No.
And you understand if I accept your plea, you'll be giving up any future claim that your plea was a result of promises, threats, or other inducements that were not disclosed.
Yes, Your Honor.
You also understand that the way this works is, I'm sure Mr. Hubble's explained, the court is not bound by the prosecutor's recommendation for sentencing. Typically, I do go along with their recommendations, but there's no guarantee of that. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand that if I accept your plea, you'll have a conviction for domestic violence, and that does carry a maximum penalty of up to 93 days in jail?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has Mr. Hubble discussed all of your trial rights with you, including the right to a jury trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand? Oh, and I see you signed an advice of rights form. Did you read and understand all of the rights on that form prior to signing?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand you're giving up all those rights, including the right to a jury trial, and is that what you wish to do? And is it
Yes,
of
Your
your own free will?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then. It says here that on July 16th at a location, Stony Creek Boulevard and Holiday Road in East Bay Township in Grand Traverse County, you assaulted Ronald Kuchera, a resident or former resident of your household. Is that true?
I was a resident of his daughter's house who he's been living with. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and how do you know Mr. Kuchera?
He's my grandfather.
Oh, okay. So, so you were living in the same household at some time, though?
About 10 years ago, Your Honor.
Okay. And how did you assault Mr. Kuchera?
We were sitting in the car next to each other, and I made this motion with my backhand, open-handed, with my fingertips.
Okay, and did you strike him?
Yes, like this.
Okay. And I take it he didn't want to be hit.
No, Your Honor.
He is not taking this seriously. He doesn't think he did anything wrong.
And you weren't acting in self-defense at the time either.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then to the charge of domestic violence, how do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
I'll accept your plea, find it is voluntary, accurate, and understanding, and we'll set this for sentencing at a later date, October 24th again?
9:15.
At 9:15. And I know you've got another sentencing at 9:30. Would
Hi. Yeah, it did. I'm on my phone. I'm on my cellular connection. Hi, Patrick B. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Spectrum hates me. But, let's see. I don't think I can turn my camera around. But I can show you this way. Yeah, it just often having trouble connecting. This is often caused by an unstable internet connection. Yeah, thanks. Oh, where she was so casual about it. Like it didn't even matter. Not so much. Usually what they do, I had to switch which mouse I use. This one is the one that I was first sent. Hold on. It's it's echoey because it's trying to connect, but it can't connect. So this one here has a forward and a back button on it. It's more like a gamer mouse or more techy. And I had to go back to this one because Billy would hit that back button and it's an eject button. It would literally close my whole stream out. So, oh, sorry. But I guess we're going to have to continue this another night, guys. You all are so wonderful to me. And I love you all to pieces. I think we're all just a titch unstable around here. Thank you so much. Alright, guys. I guess I'm gonna try to go to bed, maybe. I gotta get up in 5 hours and start downloading dockets. Oh, Ava's snoring. Love you guys so much. Here, I'm gonna switch. Do it right. Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.